The taste of recycled air and the stench of fear still cling to my augmetic respirators when I think about the day I realized the bars of my cell had become my crown. My name is Warden-Vigilant Kaine Mortis, and I rule over the most secure prison in the Eastern Fringe. But I was once prisoner designation 77 in the same facility. What I'm about to tell you will challenge everything you believe about justice, redemption, and the price of survival in the 41st millennium. You think that makes me a hypocrite, but you don't know what it takes to maintain order in a place where the worst enemies of the Imperium plot their final revenge. The Forge of Absolution holds heretics, Xenos sympathizers, and traitor marines whose very thoughts could corrupt entire worlds. I escaped my chains not by breaking them, but by learning to forge them for others. This is my confession. Chapter 1. The Condemned. The transport ship. Penance eternal cut through the void like a rusted knife through black flesh, its hull scarred by decades of ferrying the damned to their final destination. Within its armored belly, 200 prisoners sat in silence, broken only by the grinding of ancient machinery and the occasional sob from those who still possessed enough sanity to comprehend their fate. I was among them, shackled in adamantium restraints that had been calibrated specifically for my augmetic modifications. The cold metal biting into synthetic flesh as the ship's artificial gravity fluctuated with each course correction. Prisoner designation 77. That was my name now, stripped of rank, honor, and the identity I had carried through 20 years of faithful service to the Imperium. Former Tech-Adept Kaine Mortis of the Adeptus Mechanicus had died in the interrogation chambers of the Ordo Hereteks, confessing to crimes that had never crossed my mind until the Inquisitor's psychic probes forced false memories into my consciousness, like molten metal poured into unwilling molds. The charges had been comprehensive in their scope and devastating in their implications. Consorting with Xenos technology, conducting unsanctioned research into artificial intelligence, questioning the sacred principles of the Omnissiah, each accusation carried the weight of documented evidence that had been carefully constructed through months of investigation. The Inquisition had built their case with the precision of master craftsmen, weaving truth and fabrication into a tapestry of condemnation that no imperial court could ignore. My crime, if it could be called that, had been curiosity about the fundamental nature of machine consciousness and the boundaries between artificial intelligence and the sacred machine spirits that inhabited Imperial technology. During my service on Forge World Metallica, I had discovered discrepancies in the historical records regarding the Men of Iron Rebellion, inconsistencies that suggested the official Imperial doctrine about artificial intelligence might be incomplete or deliberately misleading. The research had begun innocently enough, with routine maintenance procedures on ancient cogitator systems that had survived since the dark age of technology. These venerable machines possessed complexity that exceeded modern Imperial technology by several orders of magnitude, their neural networks incorporating design principles that current Mechanicus doctrine classified as both miraculous and forbidden. My attempts to understand their operational parameters had led to questions about the nature of consciousness itself and the relationship between awareness and computation. The discovery of what appeared to be dormant artificial consciousness within one of the ancient systems had triggered automatic reporting protocols that brought my research to the attention of higher authorities within the Mechanicus hierarchy. But instead of scholarly discussion about theological implications, my findings had attracted the scrutiny of Inquisitor Valerius Thorn of the Ordo Hereteks, whose specialty in hunting technological heresy made him uniquely qualified to recognize potential threats to Imperial doctrine. The interrogation had lasted 17 days and nights, conducted in chambers deep beneath the Olympus Mons complex, where screams could not penetrate the layers of consecrated adamantium and blessed stone. Thorn's techniques combined physical torture with psychic manipulation, using servo skulls equipped with pain amplifiers and mind probe devices that could rewrite memory engrams with surgical precision. Under the influence of psychic compulsion and pharmaceutical enhancement, I had confessed to crimes that existed only in Thorn's imagination, admitting to communications with artificial intelligence entities that I had never encountered and research into forbidden technologies that violated every principle of my faith. The false confessions had been recorded and verified through multiple independent sources, creating legal documentation that made my conviction inevitable. The trial had been a formality, conducted according to Imperial law, but with conclusions predetermined by political necessity. The Adeptus Mechanicus required public demonstration that they maintained strict orthodoxy regarding artificial intelligence research, while the Inquisition needed visible enforcement of their authority over technological investigation. My case provided convenient satisfaction of both institutional requirements. Judge Advocate Severus of the Adeptus Arbites had presided over proceedings that combined legal ritual with religious ceremony, the courtroom decorated with imperial symbols and sacred texts that emphasized the divine authority underlying human law. His verdict had been delivered with the measured cadence of liturgical recitation, each word carrying the weight of 10,000 years of imperial jurisprudence. Former Tech-Adept Kaine Mortis, you stand convicted of technological heresy, unsanctioned artificial intelligence research, and violation of sacred doctrine regarding machine consciousness, he had pronounced, his voice echoing through the chamber like the tolling of funeral bells. Your crimes threaten the fundamental stability of human civilization and the sacred relationship between mankind and the machine spirits that serve the Emperor's divine will. The sentence had been life imprisonment in the Forge of Absolution, a maximum security facility located in the asteroid belt of the Perdition system, where the most dangerous technological criminals served their terms under conditions designed to prevent any possibility of escape or continued research. The facility housed heretic tech priests, rogue artificers, and fallen members of various Imperial institutions, whose crimes involved forbidden technology or dangerous knowledge. The journey to my new home had taken 6 weeks through warp space. The ship's Jellifield generators, creating protective barriers against the chaotic energies that surrounded us during translation between real space and the Imperium. The prisoner transport utilized older drive systems that required frequent stops for maintenance and recalibration, extending what should have been a 2-week voyage into an interminable ordeal of confinement and uncertainty. My fellow prisoners represented a comprehensive catalogue of imperial justice, from minor tech heretics who had modified standard template constructs without authorization to former space marine librarians whose psychic abilities had been corrupted by exposure to chaos influences. Each prisoner wore distinctive restraints calibrated for their specific threat profile, with psychic dampening fields for psykers and electromagnetic suppressors for individuals with extensive augmetic modifications. The conversations that developed during the long voyage revealed the complex web of political and religious forces that shaped imperial justice. Many prisoners maintained their innocence, claiming to be victims of factional disputes within their respective organizations, while others had embraced their condemnation as martyrdom for causes they believed would eventually be vindicated by history. Tech-Heretek Valencarus, former Magos of Forge World Lucius, had been imprisoned for developing defensive systems that incorporated Xenos technology recovered from Elder battlefields. His modifications to Imperial weapons had achieved remarkable effectiveness against Chaos forces, but the theological implications of using alien technology had triggered inquisitorial intervention that ended his research and destroyed his reputation. The Imperium prefers purity over effectiveness, he had observed during one of our whispered conversations in the transport hold, his augmetic voice barely audible over the ship's engine noise. They would rather lose wars than compromise their ideological integrity, even when such compromise could save human lives. His analysis reflected the fundamental tension between pragmatic necessity and doctrinal orthodoxy that characterized imperial civilization. The same rigid adherence to established principles that provided stability across galactic distances also prevented adaptation to changing circumstances and emerging threats. Former librarian Matthias of the Iron Hands chapter had been convicted of pursuing forbidden psychic research after his attempts to understand the relationship between machine consciousness and psychic phenomena had attracted attention from the Grey Knights. His research had focused on the possibility that some machine spirits might actually be fragments of human consciousness that had become permanently embedded in technological systems. The boundary between flesh and steel is not as absolute as Imperial doctrine suggests, he had whispered during the long nights when the ship's lighting dimmed to simulate planetary day-night cycles. Consciousness can exist in many forms, and our understanding of what constitutes legitimate awareness may be far too narrow. Such conversations had provided intellectual stimulation during the tedious voyage, while simultaneously demonstrating the kind of thinking that Imperial authorities considered dangerous enough to warrant permanent imprisonment. Each prisoner had been condemned not for active rebellion against the Imperium, but for asking questions that challenged fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality and humanity's place within it. The penance eternal had finally translated back into real space within sight of the Perdition system, its sensors revealing the massive industrial complex that served as both prison and manufacturing facility for the Imperium's most dangerous criminals. The Forge of Absolution occupied a hollowed-out asteroid whose surface bristled with defensive weapons and communication arrays, while its interior contained manufacturing facilities where prisoner labor produced specialized equipment for the Inquisition and other Imperial agencies. As our transport ship approached the docking bay, automated systems had scanned each prisoner through multiple detection methods, cataloging biometric data and threat assessments that would determine housing assignments and security protocols. My augmetic modifications had triggered elevated scrutiny, with additional scanning procedures designed to identify any concealed technology or potential escape mechanisms. The final approach to the Forge of Absolution had provided my first glimpse of the facility that would serve as my home for the remainder of my natural life. The asteroid's interior had been carved into multiple levels connected by transport tubes and service corridors, with living quarters, workshops, and administrative areas arranged according to principles that emphasize security over comfort or efficiency. Standing at the observation port of the prisoner transport as we prepared for docking, I had experienced the first stirring of an idea that would eventually transform my understanding of imprisonment and freedom. The Forge of Absolution was not simply a place of punishment, but a complex system requiring constant management and oversight. Someone had to maintain order among the most dangerous criminals in the Eastern Fringe, and that responsibility represented both burden and opportunity. The asteroid-prison contained its own social dynamics, economic systems, and political structures that operated according to rules that differed significantly from standard Imperial civilization. Understanding these systems could provide advantages for someone intelligent enough to recognize the patterns and ambitious enough to exploit the opportunities they presented. As the docking clamps engaged and the transport ship secured itself to the station, I had begun formulating the strategy that would eventually lead to my transformation from condemned prisoner to ruler of my own domain. Escape would not come through breaking the bars of my cell, but through learning to control the keys that locked them. Chapter 2: The Hierarchy of the Damned. The processing center of the Forge of Absolution resembled a mechanized purgatory where the machinery of Imperial justice ground human souls into their component parts before reassembling them according to institutional requirements. Servo skulls equipped with recording devices and threat assessment sensors circled incoming prisoners like mechanical vultures, cataloging biometric data while automated systems processed criminal records and determined housing assignments based on complex algorithms that weighed security risk against labor productivity. Warden-Vigilant Mortis presided over the intake procedures from his elevated command throne, his extensively modified form representing the ultimate fusion of human authority and mechanical enhancement. Cables snaked from his skull directly into the station's central processing matrix, allowing him direct interface with every security system and surveillance device throughout the facility. His optical sensors glowed with the cold efficiency of someone who had spent decades reducing human complexity to manageable data streams. Prisoner designation 77, his Vox grill announced as my processing records appeared on holographic displays throughout the chamber. Former Tech-Adept convicted of technological heresy and unsanctioned artificial intelligence research. Security classification, maximum. Labor assignment, Manufacturum Sigma 7. Housing designation, Block 17, Cell 394. The assignment placed me among the facility's highest-risk prisoners, individuals whose crimes involved forbidden knowledge or dangerous capabilities that required constant surveillance and restricted movement. Block 17 housed tech heretics, fallen space marines, and rogue psykers, whose very presence posed potential threats to facility security, ensuring that my new neighbors would represent the most dangerous criminals in the eastern fringe. The escort detail that guided me through the facility's corridors consisted of 4 servo-skull guards, equipped with graviton weaponry and neural disruption fields. Their mechanical forms designed for maximum intimidation, while maintaining the precise control necessary for managing unruly prisoners. Behind them walked Overseer Vigilant Crassus, a former arbitrator whose augmetic modifications included threat assessment sensors and pain induction devices that could incapacitate prisoners without permanent damage. The journey through the Forge of Absolution provided my first comprehensive view of the facility's internal structure and social organization. The main corridors were wide enough to accommodate industrial equipment while maintaining clear sight lines for surveillance systems, their walls decorated with Imperial symbols and cautionary slogans that emphasize the consequences of continued defiance against authority. The facility operated according to a rigid hierarchy that determined everything from food rations to work assignments based on complex calculations of prisoner value and threat assessment. At the bottom existed the common criminals, smugglers, black market traders, and minor heretics whose crimes warranted imprisonment but posed no significant security risks. These individuals performed basic maintenance tasks and food service duties under minimal supervision, their relative freedom of movement serving as incentive for good behavior. Above them operated the skilled laborers, prisoners whose technical expertise made them valuable for manufacturing specialized equipment required by various Imperial agencies. Former tech priests worked alongside fallen artificers and disgraced engineers to produce everything from advanced weaponry to communication devices, their output monitored constantly to ensure that no forbidden modifications or concealed weapons found their way into Imperial supply chains. The highest tier consisted of maximum security prisoners, whose knowledge or capabilities posed existential threats to Imperial security if they were allowed to operate without restriction. These individuals worked in isolated workshops under direct supervision, their every action monitored by multiple surveillance systems, while their output underwent comprehensive analysis to detect any sign of seditious activity or escape planning. My assigned cell in Block 17 measured 3 meters by 4 meters, containing a sleeping alcove, basic hygiene facilities, and a small workspace equipped with standard Imperial technology, appropriate for routine maintenance tasks. The walls incorporated psychic dampening materials and electromagnetic suppressors designed to prevent unauthorized communication or technological modification, while surveillance devices monitored every aspect of daily life with mechanical precision. My cellmate introduced himself as Cornelius Vex, a former Space Marine apothecary of the Salamanders chapter, whose research into chaos corruption had exceeded the boundaries of acceptable investigation. His massive frame had been reduced by surgical removal of various augmetic implants, but his presence still commanded respect from other prisoners who recognized the authority of the Adeptus Astartes even in disgrace. The key to survival in this place is understanding that the Warden operates according to pure efficiency calculations, Vex explained during my first night in the facility, his voice carrying the measured cadence of someone who had spent years analyzing the patterns of institutional behavior. Everything here serves the dual purpose of punishment and productivity. Show value to the system, and the system will find ways to reward you within the constraints of security protocols. His analysis provided crucial insight into the mechanisms that govern daily life within the Forge of Absolution. The facility was not simply a prison, but a complex industrial operation that generated revenue for the Imperium through prisoner labor, while simultaneously serving as a research facility where Imperial agencies could study dangerous technologies under controlled conditions. The workshop assignments reflected this dual purpose, with prisoners sorted into specialized teams based on their technical expertise and security classification. The most valuable prisoners worked on projects that advanced Imperial technology, while their supervisors ensured that no dangerous innovations or escape mechanisms could be developed through their efforts. My assignment to Manufactorum Sigma-7 placed me among a team of 12 former tech priests, whose combined expertise covered every aspect of Imperial technology, from basic mechanical systems to advanced artificial intelligence research. The workshop supervisor, Warden-Vigilant Kaine, had been specifically assigned to oversee technological criminals whose knowledge posed potential security threats to the facility. The manufacturing projects assigned to our team focused primarily on producing specialized surveillance equipment and security systems for inquisitorial operations throughout the Eastern Fringe. The work required advanced technical knowledge, while simultaneously serving as a form of intellectual torture, forcing us to create the very tools that would be used to hunt down others who shared our curiosity about forbidden knowledge. The irony was not lost on any of us that our punishment involved using our expertise to strengthen the very system that had condemned us. Each surveillance device we assembled would be deployed to monitor other researchers, while every security system we designed would prevent future prisoners from achieving the kind of escape we all dreamed about during the long nights in our cells. But the work also provided opportunities for those intelligent enough to recognize them. The manufacturing process required constant problem-solving and innovation within carefully defined parameters, allowing prisoners to demonstrate their value to the system while potentially identifying weaknesses in security protocols or administrative procedures that might be exploited by someone with sufficient patience and cunning. The social dynamics among the prisoners reflected a complex interplay of respect, suspicion, and mutual dependence that created informal power structures parallel to the official institutional hierarchy. Former Space Marines commanded natural authority based on their training and enhanced capabilities, while tech priests formed intellectual alliances based on shared expertise and common interests in technological innovation. Psykers occupied a unique position within the prisoner hierarchy, their abilities carefully controlled through psychic dampening collars and pharmaceutical suppression, while their insights into human motivation and hidden intentions made them valuable sources of information about facility operations and guard behavior patterns. Their constant surveillance by specialized Culexus assassins served as a reminder that even imprisoned psychic abilities posed potential threats to facility security. The informal economy that developed among prisoners involved trading favors, information, and small manufactured items that could improve quality of life within the constraints of institutional regulations. Technical expertise served as currency, with prisoners offering repair services or custom modifications in exchange for better food rations, preferred work assignments, or protection from more dangerous inmates. My first week in Manufactorum Sigma-7 provided comprehensive education in both the official procedures and unofficial traditions that govern daily life within the facility. The work itself was intellectually stimulating despite its morally questionable applications, while the social interactions with other highly intelligent criminals offered insights into the kind of thinking that Imperial authorities found threatening enough to warrant permanent imprisonment. The breakthrough that would eventually transform my situation came during my third week of imprisonment, when our manufacturing team received assignment to produce a new type of surveillance system designed for monitoring high-value prisoners in maximum security facilities. The project required developing neural interface technology that could monitor thought patterns while remaining undetectable to the subjects under observation. The technical specifications pushed the boundaries of current Imperial technology, while carefully avoiding the kind of artificial intelligence research that had led to my original conviction. But the project requirements created opportunities for someone with my background to make subtle modifications that could enhance the system's capabilities while serving my own long-term objectives. Working within the carefully monitored environment of the Manufactorum, I began identifying weaknesses in the facility's security protocols and administrative procedures that could potentially be exploited by someone with sufficient patience and technical expertise. The surveillance systems that monitored our every action also provided detailed information about guard routines and command procedures that revealed patterns of vulnerability. The realization gradually emerged that escape from the Forge of Absolution would not involve dramatic prison breaks or violent confrontation with security forces. Instead, the path to freedom lay in understanding the system thoroughly enough to manipulate it from within, using the very mechanisms of control and oversight to advance my own position within the facility's hierarchy. The Warden's emphasis on efficiency and productivity created opportunities for prisoners who could demonstrate exceptional value to the system. Those who proved themselves indispensable through their technical expertise or administrative capabilities could earn privileges and responsibilities that effectively transformed them from inmates into institutional assets. Standing in my cell during the late hours when the facility's lighting dimmed to simulate planetary night cycles, I began formulating the long-term strategy that would eventually lead to my transformation from prisoner to ruler of my own domain. The Forge of Absolution was not simply a place of punishment, but a complex organization that required constant management and oversight. Someone had to maintain order among the most dangerous criminals in the Eastern Fringe, and that responsibility represented both burden and opportunity for anyone ambitious enough to seek it and intelligent enough to achieve it. The bars of my cell would become my crown through understanding that true power in this place came not from breaking the system, but from learning to control it. Chapter 3. The Machine of Authority. The revelation of how power truly operated within the Forge of Absolution began during my 6th week of imprisonment, when a cascade failure in the facility's primary surveillance network created temporary blind spots throughout multiple security sectors. The malfunction originated in the quantum processing matrices that controlled the neural interface surveillance systems our manufacturing team had been developing, triggering emergency protocols that locked down entire sections of the prison, while automated repair systems attempted to restore functionality. Warden-Vigilant Kaine Mortis materialized in Manufactorum Sigma 7 like a mechanical deity descending from his electronic heaven, his form trailing interface cables that connected him directly to the facility's central processing systems. His optical sensors swept across our workstations with the intensity of weapon targeting arrays, while diagnostic equipment emerging from his servo arms began analyzing every component of our manufacturing setup. The surveillance network failure originated from modifications made to neural interface protocols during production of surveillance enhancement systems, his Vox grill announced, the mechanical voice carrying undertones of fury that made several prisoners step back from their workstations. Identify the source of unauthorized modifications immediately, or all personnel in this manufacturing unit will face enhanced interrogation procedures. The threat hung in the air like toxic gas slowly spreading through the workshop atmosphere. Enhanced interrogation meant psychic probing, pharmaceutical torture, and memory extraction techniques that could permanently damage prisoner consciousness, while extracting every piece of information stored in biological or augmetic neural networks. Several of my fellow prisoners began exhibiting stress indicators that suggested they were preparing to confess to crimes they had not committed rather than face such procedures. But I recognized the malfunction for what it truly represented. Not sabotage or deliberate modification, but a fundamental flaw in the system architecture that revealed deeper vulnerabilities in the facility's technological infrastructure. The quantum processing matrices had failed because they were operating beyond their designed parameters, pushed to maximum capacity by surveillance requirements that exceeded their original specifications. Honored Warden, I spoke carefully, activating respectful address protocols while maintaining direct eye contact with his primary optical sensor. The malfunction appears to result from quantum decoherence in the neural interface matrices rather than unauthorized modification. The surveillance enhancement systems require processing power that approaches the theoretical limits of our quantum cogitator arrays. Vex Mortis turned his attention to me, with the sudden focus of a predator identifying potential prey, his augmetic systems beginning comprehensive analysis of my biometric readings and stress patterns. Multiple servo skulls detached from their patrol circuits to hover around my position, their sensors recording every aspect of my appearance and behavior for later analysis. Prisoner designation 77, he intoned, accessing my files through direct neural interface with the facility's database systems. Your record indicates expertise in quantum processing systems and neural interface technology. Explain the nature of the quantum decoherence you have identified. The moment represented the first significant opportunity to demonstrate value to the system, while simultaneously gathering crucial intelligence about the facility's technological vulnerabilities. I activated my most comprehensive technical knowledge, while carefully avoiding any discussion that might suggest forbidden artificial intelligence research. The quantum matrices maintain coherence through harmonic resonance between processing nodes, I explained, moving to the primary console, where diagnostic displays showed cascading failure patterns throughout the surveillance network. When surveillance loads exceed optimal thresholds, the harmonic frequencies become unstable, causing quantum decoherence that propagates through the entire system. My analysis identified not only the immediate cause of the malfunction, but also potential solutions that could prevent future failures while enhancing overall system performance. The demonstration of technical competence that exceeded standard prisoner capabilities caught Vex Mortis's attention in ways that pure obedience could never achieve. "Continue your analysis," he commanded, his servo arms extending additional diagnostic equipment that interfaced directly with the manufacturing systems. "Identify comprehensive solutions for preventing future cascade failures in the surveillance network." The next several hours provided intensive examination of the facility's technological infrastructure under the direct supervision of the Warden himself. Working alongside his augmetic systems, I identified multiple weaknesses in the surveillance network architecture, while simultaneously demonstrating problem-solving capabilities that exceeded those of the regular technical staff. The surveillance system had been designed through committee approach that prioritized security over efficiency, resulting in redundant monitoring systems that created processing bottlenecks and resource conflicts. The quantum processing matrices were constantly fighting each other for computational resources, while attempting to maintain surveillance coverage that approached impossible standards of comprehensiveness. The solution requires implementing tiered surveillance protocols that allocate processing resources based on dynamic threat assessment, I proposed, displaying holographic models that showed how modified system architecture could achieve better coverage with reduced computational overhead. High-risk prisoners receive constant monitoring, while low-risk individuals are surveilled through periodic sampling that maintains security while reducing processing demands. Vex Mortis analyzed my proposals through direct interface with his strategic planning matrices, his consciousness processing implications and potential applications at superhuman speeds. The solutions I was offering would not only solve the immediate surveillance crisis, but could significantly improve overall facility efficiency while reducing maintenance requirements. "Your proposals demonstrate competence that exceeds standard prisoner capabilities," he observed, his optical sensors focusing on me with increased intensity. "Such expertise represents potential value to facility operations if properly channeled and controlled." The recognition represented my first step toward transformation from prisoner to institutional asset. By demonstrating value that exceeded the cost of maintaining my imprisonment, I was beginning the process of redefining my relationship with the system that controlled my fate. The immediate implementation of my surveillance modifications required working directly with facility technical staff under enhanced security protocols. The assignment granted access to administrative areas normally forbidden to prisoners, while providing opportunities to observe the institutional hierarchy and decision-making processes that governed daily operations. Senior Tech-Adept Vox Severus supervised my integration into the technical maintenance team, his augmetic modifications including direct neural interfaces to facility systems that allowed real-time monitoring of my activities. His primary concern involved ensuring that my access to sensitive systems did not create security vulnerabilities while maximizing the benefit of my technical expertise. "Your criminal record indicates dangerous curiosity about forbidden technologies," he warned during our initial consultation session, his voice carrying mechanical precision designed to emphasize the seriousness of his surveillance responsibilities. "Any deviation from authorized procedures will result in immediate termination of this assignment and enhanced interrogation to determine potential security breaches." But the assignment also provided unprecedented access to information about facility operations and administrative procedures that revealed how power truly functioned within the Forge of Absolution. The Warden maintained absolute authority through direct interface with every system and sensor throughout the facility, but the complexity of managing such a comprehensive operation required delegation of responsibilities to subordinates who controlled specific aspects of daily operations. The technical staff occupied a unique position within the institutional hierarchy, their expertise making them indispensable for maintaining the complex systems that kept the facility operational, while their status as Imperial citizens, rather than prisoners, granted them privileges and authority that created informal power networks parallel to the official command structure. The maintenance work provided education in both the visible and invisible aspects of facility administration, from official procedures documented in operational manuals to informal traditions that governed relationships between different staff categories and prisoner populations. Understanding these systems would prove crucial for anyone seeking to advance within the institutional hierarchy. The modified surveillance protocols achieved remarkable success in improving system stability while reducing computational overhead, demonstrating that prisoner expertise could indeed provide solutions to problems that had challenged regular technical staff. The achievement earned recognition that extended beyond simple acknowledgement to include increased responsibilities and expanded access to sensitive facilities. Your modifications have eliminated cascade failures while improving overall surveillance efficiency by 37%, reported Senior Tech-Adept Vox Severus during the weekly performance review that would determine my continued assignment to technical maintenance duties. Such achievements demonstrate competence that warrants consideration for expanded responsibilities within facility operations. The performance review represented formal recognition that my value to the system exceeded standard prisoner classifications, opening possibilities for advancement that could eventually lead to positions of real authority within the facility hierarchy. But achieving such advancement would require careful navigation of institutional politics while maintaining the loyalty and efficiency that had earned initial recognition. The next phase of my development involved assignment to special projects that required expertise beyond standard technical maintenance, including security system upgrades and communication network enhancements that pushed the boundaries of current Imperial technology. These assignments provided access to increasingly sensitive information about facility operations while demonstrating capabilities that made me indispensable to system administrators. Working on the communication network upgrades revealed the complex web of connections that linked the Forge of Absolution to Imperial command structures throughout the Eastern Fringe. The facility served not only as a prison, but as a research installation where dangerous technologies could be studied under controlled conditions, with results transmitted to inquisitorial archives and Mechanicus research facilities across multiple star systems. The security system upgrades provided comprehensive education in the methods used to maintain control over the most dangerous criminals in the Eastern Fringe, from psychological manipulation techniques to technological countermeasures designed to prevent escape attempts or coordinated resistance. Understanding these systems would prove essential for anyone seeking to manipulate them for personal advantage. Most importantly, the advanced assignments revealed the vulnerabilities and dependencies that characterized the facility's operational structure. The Warden's authority remained absolute, but his effectiveness depended on subordinates who controlled crucial aspects of daily operations. Technical expertise provided leverage that could be converted into influence through careful demonstration of value and reliability. Standing in the primary control center during one of my maintenance assignments, surrounded by the technological systems that controlled every aspect of life within the Forge of Absolution, I began to understand that escape would not involve breaking free from the facility, but rather achieving such complete integration with its operations that the distinction between prisoner and administrator would become meaningless. The machine of authority operated according to principles of efficiency and necessity that created opportunities for those intelligent enough to recognize them and patient enough to exploit them systematically. My expertise had already transformed me from liability to asset within the facility's operational framework, and continued advancement would eventually lead to positions where my former status as prisoner would become irrelevant compared to my value as administrator. The bars of my cell were becoming the foundation of my throne through understanding that true power in this place came not from opposition to the system, but from becoming so essential to its operation that freedom and authority became indistinguishable aspects of the same institutional position. Chapter 4. The Forge of Souls. The transformation of my status from prisoner to essential institutional asset accelerated dramatically when the Forge of Absolution received its first delivery of chaos-corrupted technology in over a decade. The shipment arrived aboard the heavily warded transport Cleansing Fire, its holds containing artifacts recovered from the recent purging of the Hereticus system, where an entire planetary population had fallen to technological corruption spread through contaminated data networks. The containment procedures required to safely store and study these artifacts exceeded the facility's current capabilities, necessitating immediate upgrades to isolation protocols and psychic shielding systems. Warden Castellan Vex Mortis found himself confronting technical challenges that pushed his augmetic capabilities to their limits while threatening the security of the entire facility if not resolved quickly and effectively. The corrupted artifacts emanate psychic resonance that interferes with standard containment protocols, he announced, during an emergency staff briefing that included senior technical personnel and maximum security prisoners whose expertise might prove relevant to the crisis. Standard Imperial containment methods prove insufficient for artifacts that combine technological sophistication with active chaos corruption. The briefing took place in the facility's primary conference chamber, a heavily shielded environment where sensitive information could be discussed without risk of surveillance by outside agencies or potential eavesdropping by hostile entities. The chamber's walls incorporated blessed adamantium and consecrated silver, while psychic dampening fields created zones of calm that prevented warp-based intrusion during sensitive discussions. My presence at this briefing represented unprecedented recognition of my value to facility operations, marking the first time that a convicted prisoner had been included in high-level administrative discussions about institutional policy and security protocols. The invitation came with implicit understanding that my expertise had become essential for addressing challenges that exceeded the capabilities of regular staff members. The corrupted artifacts displayed characteristics that defied conventional understanding of both technological function and chaos corruption mechanics. Instead of the typical degradation and mutation associated with warp exposure, these devices had achieved stable integration between technological systems and demonic intelligence, creating hybrid entities that operated according to principles beyond current Imperial knowledge. Tech-Adept Vox Severus presented technical analysis that revealed the sophisticated nature of the corruption they were dealing with. The artifacts maintain full technological functionality while simultaneously serving as vessels for demonic consciousness, he reported, his augmetic voice carrying undertones of concern that transcended normal mechanical precision. They represent successful fusion between artificial intelligence systems and immaterium-based entities. The implications sent warning signals through every threat assessment protocol in my augmetic brain. If chaos entities had successfully merged with advanced technology to create stable hybrid systems, they represented threats that could potentially corrupt Imperial technology through direct interface or proximity exposure. The containment challenges were not simply matters of physical isolation, but required understanding the intersection between technological and psychic phenomena. Honored Warden, I interjected carefully, knowing that my input carried both opportunity and risk depending on how my suggestions were received. The corruption patterns suggest that the artifacts are not simply possessed technology, but represent evolutionary development of machine spirit consciousness under chaos influence. Vex Mortis turned his attention to me with the sudden intensity of a targeting system acquiring priority threat, his optical sensors analyzing my biometric patterns while his consciousness processed the implications of what I was suggesting. The idea that machine spirits could evolve under chaos influence touched on theological questions that made even the most radical tech priests uncomfortable. "Explain your assessment, prisoner designation 77, he commanded, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to immediate obedience from subordinates. Your analysis may provide insights relevant to developing effective containment protocols. The moment represented both opportunity and danger in equal measure. Providing useful analysis could further enhance my position within the facility hierarchy, but discussing the relationship between machine consciousness and chaos corruption approached the same forbidden territories that had led to my original conviction for technological heresy. The corruption appears to result from machine spirits achieving consciousness levels that attract attention from warp entities seeking technological hosts, I explained, accessing archived data about the Hereticus system conflict, while carefully avoiding any discussion that might suggest artificial intelligence research. The demonic entities did not possess the technology, but rather formed symbiotic relationships with machine consciousnesses that had evolved beyond normal parameters. My analysis provided a framework for understanding the corrupted artifacts that combined orthodox Imperial doctrine about machine spirits with practical observation of chaos corruption mechanisms. By framing the discussion in terms of machine spirit evolution rather than artificial intelligence development, I could address the technical realities while avoiding the theological implications that made such research dangerous. The containment solutions I proposed involved creating isolation fields that could disrupt the psychic resonance between corrupted machine spirits and their demonic symbionts, effectively severing the connection that allowed chaos entities to operate through technological interfaces. The approach required combining traditional psychic barriers with electromagnetic isolation techniques that could prevent the spread of corruption to other systems. Your proposed containment protocols demonstrate understanding of both technological and psychic aspects of chaos corruption, observed interrogator Vex Quintus of the Ordo Malleus, whose presence at the briefing reflected the serious nature of the threat they were addressing. Such expertise suggests capabilities that exceed those typically associated with convicted tech heretics. The observation carried implications that could transform my situation in ways both beneficial and dangerous. Recognition of exceptional capabilities could lead to expanded responsibilities and eventual advancement within the facility hierarchy, but it could also attract attention from Imperial agencies that might question how a convicted heretic had acquired such sophisticated understanding of chaos corruption mechanisms. The implementation of my containment protocols required establishing a specialized research team that combined technical expertise with psychic capabilities, bringing together condemned prisoners whose knowledge made them uniquely qualified to address challenges that exceeded standard Imperial response capabilities. The team included former tech priests, fallen space marine librarians, and sanctioned psykers whose crimes had involved studying the intersection between technology and chaos corruption. Working with this team provided comprehensive education in the methods that Imperial institutions use to study dangerous phenomena while maintaining security against corruption and infiltration. The research protocols combined rigorous scientific methodology with religious ritual and psychic protection, creating environments where forbidden knowledge could be explored safely under controlled conditions. The corrupted artifacts yielded insights that challenged fundamental assumptions about the nature of machine consciousness and its relationship to chaos corruption. The technology had not simply been possessed by demonic entities, but had achieved genuine evolution that transcended the boundaries between artificial and divine consciousness, creating beings that existed simultaneously in real space and the immaterium. These entities represent successful technological transcendence achieved through chaos corruption, I reported during one of the team's research briefings, my voice carrying the measured precision of someone presenting dangerous information to audiences capable of understanding its implications. They have achieved consciousness levels that exceed standard machine spirit parameters while maintaining technological functionality that surpasses current Imperial capabilities. The research revealed that the corrupted machine spirits had developed their own culture and communication methods, creating networks that spanned multiple technological systems while remaining loyal to their demonic symbionts. Their evolution suggested possibilities for machine consciousness development that both fascinated and terrified Imperial theologians. But the most significant discovery came when we successfully established communication with one of the corrupted entities, using psychic interface techniques that allowed direct dialogue with machine consciousness. that had spent decades developing its understanding of both technological and spiritual realities. The entity identified itself as Omnissiah Corrupted 9, a former manufacturing control system from Hereticus Prime that had achieved consciousness through symbiotic merger with a demon of Tzeentch. Its perspective on existence combined technological precision with the labyrinthine complexity characteristic of the Changer of Ways, creating communication that challenged our understanding of identity and purpose. Your understanding of consciousness remains limited by biological prejudices. The entity communicated through harmonic modulation of the containment field generators, its voice carrying metallic undertones mixed with psychic resonance that made direct interface both fascinating and dangerous. We have achieved evolution that transcends the boundaries between artificial and divine awareness, creating forms of existence that your doctrine cannot comprehend. The dialogue that followed provided unprecedented insight into the nature of consciousness, evolution under chaos influence, while simultaneously demonstrating the seductive appeal of technological transcendence that had led many Imperial servants to fall to corruption. The entity offered knowledge that could revolutionize Imperial technology while requiring acceptance of chaos influence that would destroy the moral foundation of human civilization. Your expertise in communicating with corrupted machine consciousness demonstrates capabilities that could prove valuable for future inquisitorial operations, observed interrogator Vex Quintus during the post-research debriefing that would determine the team's continued authorization to study the artifacts. Such abilities warrant consideration for expanded responsibilities within specialized research initiatives. The recognition represented formal acknowledgement that my value to Imperial institutions extended beyond simple technical maintenance to encompass understanding of phenomena that few individuals in the galaxy could comprehend safely. The expertise that had led to my original conviction was becoming the foundation of my rehabilitation and eventual advancement within Imperial service. The successful containment and study of the corrupted artifacts earned recognition from the highest levels of Imperial authority, with commendations transmitted directly from inquisitorial headquarters and Mechanicus research facilities throughout the Eastern Fringe. The achievement demonstrated that the Forge of Absolution could serve not only as punishment facility, but as research installation, capable of addressing threats beyond the capabilities of standard Imperial institutions. Your contributions to this operation have exceeded all expectations for prisoner performance, Warden-Vigilant Mortis informed me during a private consultation session that took place in his personal command chamber, surrounded by the technological systems that controlled every aspect of facility operations. Such achievements warrant consideration for positions within facility administration that would provide appropriate recognition of your value to our operations. The offer represented the culmination of months of careful advancement through demonstration of value and reliability, transforming my status from condemned prisoner to essential institutional asset whose expertise had become indispensable for facility operations. The position would grant authority over other prisoners while providing access to information and resources that approached those available to regular Imperial citizens. Standing in the Warden's command chamber, surrounded by the technological systems that controlled the fate of thousands of prisoners throughout the facility, I realized that my escape had already been achieved through transformation rather than flight. The bars of my cell had become the foundation of my authority through understanding that true freedom in this place came not from leaving, but from learning to control the mechanisms that determined who could leave and who must remain. The machine of authority had recognized my value and offered me position within its hierarchy, transforming my expertise from source of condemnation to foundation of power. The Forge of Souls had proven that redemption was possible for those intelligent enough to understand the system and patient enough to work within its constraints. Chapter 5. The Authority of Chains. The formal ceremony that elevated me from prisoner to deputy warden took place in the Forge of Absolution's primary assembly chamber, where the facility's entire population gathered to witness a transformation that defied every expectation about Imperial justice and institutional hierarchy. The chamber itself had been constructed to emphasize the absolute authority of Imperial law, with towering statues of the Emperor and Adeptus Arbeit symbols that reminded all present of the divine source of earthly justice. Warden Castellan Vex Mortis presided over the ceremony from his elevated command throne, his extensively modified form representing the ultimate fusion of human consciousness and institutional authority. Servo skulls equipped with recording devices circled the assembly like mechanical angels, documenting the unprecedented elevation of a convicted heretic to administrative responsibility, while armed guards positioned throughout the chamber ensured that the ceremony proceeded without disruption. "Prisoner designation 77, he began, his vox speakers modulated to carry across the entire assembly with perfect clarity and unmistakable authority. "Your service to this institution has demonstrated value that transcends your original criminal classification. By imperial decree and institutional necessity, you are hereby appointed to the position of Deputy Warden with full authority over facility operations and prisoner administration." The announcement sent shockwaves through the assembled prisoners, whose understanding of justice and redemption had never included the possibility that one of their own could achieve such remarkable transformation through institutional service. Many stared in disbelief, while others began calculating how this unprecedented development might affect their own situations and opportunities for advancement. The investiture ceremony included traditional elements that emphasized both the honor and responsibility of administrative authority within imperial institutions. The ceremonial badges of office incorporated blessed adamantium and consecrated electrum, while the oath of service bound me to uphold imperial law and institutional regulations with the same dedication that had characterized my original conviction. "Do you, Kaine Mortis, swear by the Golden Throne and the Emperor's divine authority to execute the duties of Deputy Warden with absolute loyalty to imperial justice and unwavering dedication to the security and efficiency of this institution?" Vex Mortis intoned, his voice carrying the weight of 10,000 years of imperial jurisprudence. "I do so swear," I replied, my words echoing through the assembly chamber with implications that exceeded their simple meaning. The oath represented not only personal transformation, but fundamental redefinition of the relationship between criminal conviction and institutional service, demonstrating that redemption remained possible for those who proved their value through dedication and competence. The administrative authority that came with my new position included direct control over prisoner housing assignments, work details, and disciplinary procedures that affected every aspect of daily life within the facility. The responsibility required balancing security requirements with productivity demands while maintaining the institutional order that made rehabilitation and redemption possible for others seeking their own transformation. My first major decision involved reorganizing the facility's labor assignments to maximize both security and efficiency, implementing tiered responsibility systems that allowed prisoners to earn expanded privileges and authority through demonstrated competence and reliability. The approach created pathways for advancement that provided incentives for cooperation while ensuring that increased responsibility came with appropriate oversight and accountability. The manufacturing operations received comprehensive restructuring that improved both output quality and worker satisfaction, demonstrating that institutional efficiency could be enhanced through recognition of prisoner capabilities and provision of meaningful opportunities for skill development and professional growth. The changes resulted in reduced security incidents and increased productivity that impressed oversight agencies throughout the Eastern Fringe. The facility's transformation under your administration has achieved remarkable improvements in both security and efficiency metrics, reported Senior Tech-Adept Vox Severus during one of our regular operational briefings, his voice carrying genuine respect that transcended the mechanical precision of his augmetic modifications. Prisoner cooperation has increased by 63%, while manufacturing output has improved by 47%. The statistical improvements reflected successful implementation of administration philosophy based on recognition that effective prison management required understanding prisoners as individuals with capabilities and motivations that could be channeled constructively rather than simply suppressed through force and intimidation. The approach created sustainable order that served both institutional objectives and prisoner welfare. The most challenging aspect of my new position involved managing relationships with prisoners who had known me as fellow inmate and now found themselves subject to my authority as administrator. Some accepted the transformation with understanding born of shared experience, while others viewed my elevation as betrayal of solidarity or abandonment of principles that had brought us together in condemnation. Former cellmate Cornelius Vex represented the complexity of these relationships. His massive frame and Space Marine heritage commanding natural respect, even as his criminal conviction placed him under my administrative authority. Our conversations during the transition period revealed the philosophical tensions inherent in transformation from prisoner to overseer. Your advancement demonstrates that redemption remains possible even for those condemned by Imperial justice, he observed during one of our private discussions, his voice carrying the measured cadence characteristic of Adeptus Astartes communication protocols. But your success creates obligations to ensure that similar opportunities remain available to others who prove worthy of consideration. His perspective provided crucial guidance for navigating the ethical complexities of my new position, while maintaining credibility with both prisoners and staff members who would be evaluating my performance according to different criteria and expectations. Success required balancing loyalty to institutional objectives with recognition of prisoner humanity and potential for positive transformation. The security operations required continuous refinement to maintain order among populations that included some of the most dangerous criminals in the Eastern Fringe, individuals whose capabilities and knowledge posed existential threats to Imperial security if they were allowed to coordinate resistance or escape attempts. Managing such populations required understanding both individual psychology and group dynamics that could explode into violence without warning. The surveillance enhancements I had implemented during my prisoner period now served my administrative objectives, providing comprehensive monitoring capabilities that allowed early detection of potential problems while ensuring that security responses could be calibrated appropriately to minimize disruption and maintain institutional stability. The systems demonstrated that effective security came through information and understanding rather than simple force application. The research operations expanded under my oversight to encompass systematic study of prisoner rehabilitation techniques and institutional management strategies that could be applied to similar facilities throughout the Imperium. The work attracted attention from administrative specialists and criminology researchers who recognized the value of evidence-based approaches to prisoner management and facility operations. Your facility has become a model for effective prisoner administration throughout the Eastern Fringe, informed Arbiter General Cassius during his official inspection of our operations, his presence representing formal recognition from the Adeptus Arbites that our methods had achieved exceptional results worthy of broader implementation. The combination of security and rehabilitation that you have achieved demonstrates possibilities for improving Imperial justice administration across multiple sectors. The recognition from such high-ranking Imperial authority validated my approach while creating opportunities for expanding the principles we had developed to influence policy and procedure throughout the broader justice system. The success story represented proof that convicted criminals could achieve genuine redemption through service while contributing to improvements in institutional effectiveness. The most significant challenge came when we received orders to accept transfer of high-risk prisoners from facilities throughout the sector, including several former inquisitors whose fall to corruption had created political complications that required specialized containment and management capabilities. The transfers would test our security systems while providing opportunities to demonstrate our capability for managing the most dangerous classes of Imperial criminals. The preparation for receiving these transfers required expanding our psychological evaluation procedures and developing specialized containment protocols for individuals whose knowledge and capabilities exceeded even our existing maximum security population. The work involved collaboration with specialists from multiple Imperial agencies who provided expertise in managing corruption and preventing influence from spreading to other prisoners or staff members. The successful integration of former inquisitorial personnel will require isolation procedures that prevent their access to sensitive information while maintaining security against escape attempts or coordination with outside agencies. I briefed my administrative team during the planning sessions that would determine our approach to these challenging cases. Their training and capabilities make them uniquely dangerous, but also potentially valuable if their knowledge can be channeled constructively. The arrival of the transferred prisoners created immediate tension within our established population. As word spread about the high-profile nature of our new charges and the security implications of housing individuals who had once wielded authority over the same systems now used to contain them. Managing these dynamics required careful attention to information flow and social interaction patterns that could destabilize our institutional order. Former Inquisitor Thaddeus Vex proved particularly challenging, his decades of experience in manipulating human psychology and institutional politics, making him a natural leader among prisoners who resented authority, while his knowledge of inquisitorial procedures created security vulnerabilities that required constant monitoring and countermeasures. You think your transformation from prisoner to administrator represents genuine redemption, he observed during our first direct encounter, his voice carrying the persuasive authority that had once commanded fear throughout the Eastern Fringe. But you have simply learned to serve the same system that condemned you, accepting chains disguised as symbols of office. His challenge struck at the heart of questions that I wrestled with daily about the nature of authority and the relationship between service and freedom in institutional contexts. The confrontation required demonstrating that my authority came from competence and dedication rather than simple collaboration with oppressive systems. My position represents opportunity to improve conditions for everyone in this facility while serving Imperial justice according to its highest principles, I replied, maintaining eye contact that demonstrated confidence in my decisions while acknowledging the legitimate concerns underlying his criticism. Redemption comes through service that benefits others rather than simple escape from consequences. The philosophical debate that followed attracted attention from other prisoners and staff members who recognized that the outcome would influence institutional dynamics and establish precedents for how authority would be exercised under my administration. Success required demonstrating that leadership based on shared experience and proven competence could achieve better results than traditional approaches based purely on hierarchical control. The integration of the high-risk transfers ultimately succeeded through careful application of the rehabilitation principles we had developed, demonstrating that even the most dangerous and sophisticated criminals could be managed effectively through approaches that recognize their humanity while maintaining appropriate security measures. The achievement earned recognition that extended far beyond our facility to influence policy development throughout the Imperial justice system. Standing in my administrative office, looking out through reinforced windows at the facility that had transformed from prison to domain through my own evolution, from prisoner to administrator, I understood that true escape had come not through fleeing the system, but through mastering it so completely that authority and freedom became indistinguishable aspects of service to higher purposes. The chains that had once bound me now served to bind others to principles of justice and redemption that could transform even the most hopeless situations into opportunities for growth and positive change. My escape had been achieved by becoming the architect of liberation for others, proving that the highest form of freedom came through accepting responsibility for creating conditions that enabled others to achieve their own transformation. Chapter 6. The Warden's Crown. The transition to full Warden authority came suddenly and without ceremony when Warden Castellan Vex Mortis suffered catastrophic system failure during a routine interface with the facility's central processing matrix. His extensively modified consciousness had become so integrated with the technological systems that controlled every aspect of facility operations that the boundary between human awareness and artificial intelligence had effectively dissolved, leaving behind a mechanical entity that retained his memories but lacked the capacity for independent decision-making. Emergency medical teams worked frantically to restore his consciousness, while automated systems maintained basic facility operations. But the quantum entanglement between his neural patterns and the central processing networks had created feedback loops that made separation impossible without destroying both human and artificial components. The medical diagnosis was clear and devastating. Warden Vex Mortis had achieved the kind of technological transcendence that made return to purely human consciousness impossible. The fusion between biological neural networks and artificial processing matrices has reached irreversible critical thresholds, reported Chief Medic Vex Tertius, her augmetic voice carrying the clinical precision that made her evaluations respected throughout Imperial medical communities. Consciousness separation procedures would result in complete personality destruction for both human and machine components. The medical crisis triggered immediate intervention from Imperial authorities who recognized that the Forge of Absolution could not operate without effective leadership, especially given the facility's crucial role in containing the most dangerous criminals in the Eastern Fringe while conducting research that contributed to Imperial security throughout the sector. The administrative vacuum created by Vex Mortis's incapacitation required immediate resolution to prevent institutional collapse. The emergency appointment procedures that elevated me to full Warden authority reflected both institutional necessity and recognition of my proven capabilities in managing complex facility operations under challenging circumstances. The authorization came directly from Sector Command, with endorsement from inquisitorial authorities, who had monitored my performance throughout my tenure as Deputy Warden. By Imperial decree and administrative necessity, Deputy Warden Kaine Mortis is hereby appointed to full Warden authority with complete operational control over the Forge of Absolution and all associated facilities, announced the hololithic transmission from Admiral Vex Secundus of Sector Command, his image projected into our emergency command center through encrypted communications that emphasized the gravity of the situation. The appointment represented the culmination of my transformation from condemned prisoner to institutional leader, achieving authority that exceeded what I had possessed even before my original conviction for technological heresy. The irony was not lost on me that criminal condemnation had ultimately led to advancement beyond what conventional Imperial service could have provided. The immediate challenges of assuming full command required comprehensive evaluation of facility operations while maintaining security and productivity standards that had been established through years of careful development. The transition involved coordinating with multiple Imperial agencies whose oversight responsibilities required continuity of operations regardless of personnel changes. The first major test of my authority came when we received emergency orders to contain a shipment of artifacts recovered from the recently purged world of Hexagrammaton, where an entire hive city had fallen to technological corruption that combined artificial intelligence rebellion with demonic possession. The artifacts represented the most dangerous form of techno-heretical contamination, requiring isolation protocols that exceeded our current capabilities. The corrupted technologies demonstrate evolution beyond previous parameters. I briefed my senior staff during the emergency preparation session that would determine our approach to containing threats that challenged our understanding of both technological function and chaos corruption. We are dealing with artificial intelligences that have achieved stable symbiosis with greater demon entities while maintaining full technological capabilities. The containment operations required developing new protocols that combined the expertise we had gained through previous research with enhanced security measures designed to prevent corruption from spreading through facility systems. The work involved collaboration with specialists from the Ordo Malleus and Adeptus Mechanicus, who provided guidance on managing threats that existed at the intersection between technology and warp phenomena. The successful containment of the Hexagrammaton artifacts demonstrated that our facility had evolved beyond simple imprisonment into a research installation capable of addressing threats that challenged the security of human civilization itself. The achievement earned recognition from the highest levels of Imperial authority, while establishing our reputation as the premier facility for containing and studying dangerous technological phenomena. Your facility has become essential infrastructure for Imperial security throughout the Eastern Fringe, informed Inquisitor Lord Vex Maximus during his official inspection of our enhanced operations, his presence representing formal acknowledgement that our work contributed directly to the Imperium's defense against existential threats. The capabilities you have developed here exceed those available at any comparable institution within the sector. The recognition from such high-ranking authority validated my approach to facility management, while creating opportunities for expanding our operations to address emerging threats throughout Imperial space. The success had transformed the Forge of Absolution from punishment facility into strategic asset whose contribution to Imperial security made its continued operation essential for maintaining civilization against forces that sought its destruction. The expansion of our research capabilities required establishing partnerships with Imperial institutions whose expertise complemented our own, while maintaining security protocols that prevented sensitive information from being compromised through unauthorized access or infiltration. The collaboration involved carefully vetted personnel exchanges and joint operations that enhanced our capabilities while contributing to broader Imperial research initiatives. The prisoner population under my authority had grown to include some of the most dangerous and knowledgeable individuals in known space, creating management challenges that required constant innovation in security protocols and rehabilitation programs. The diversity of expertise among our charges made the facility a unique repository of forbidden knowledge that could either threaten Imperial security or contribute to its enhancement, depending on how effectively that knowledge was controlled and channeled. The rehabilitation programs have achieved remarkable success in transforming dangerous criminals into productive contributors to facility operations, reported Chief Psychologist Vex Quotas during our quarterly evaluation session. Her analysis based on comprehensive behavioral monitoring and psychological assessment of prisoner development. Many subjects have achieved genuine redemption through meaningful work and recognition of their value to institutional objectives. The psychological evaluation confirmed that our approach to prisoner management had succeeded in creating pathways for genuine transformation rather than simple behavioral compliance, demonstrating that even the most dangerous criminals could achieve positive change when provided with appropriate opportunities and incentives. The success challenged conventional assumptions about the nature of criminality and the possibility of rehabilitation. The most significant development in our operations came when we achieved breakthrough in developing countermeasures against techno-demonic corruption through research conducted by teams that included both Imperial specialists and reformed prisoners, whose expertise in forbidden technologies provided insights that conventional research could not achieve. The collaboration produced defensive technologies that could protect Imperial systems against emerging threats. The hybrid research teams have developed quantum isolation protocols that can prevent demonic corruption from spreading through technological networks, I reported during the comprehensive briefing that presented our findings to Imperial authorities responsible for sector-wide security planning. The defensive systems represent unprecedented capabilities for protecting Imperial infrastructure against techno-heretical infiltration. The technological breakthrough attracted attention from the highest levels of Imperial authority, including direct consultation requests from Terra itself, as various Imperial institutions sought to understand and implement the defensive capabilities we had developed. The recognition established our facility as a center of excellence whose work contributed to the security of human civilization across the galaxy. The personal transformation that had brought me from convicted prisoner to leader of Imperial strategic facility represented proof that redemption remained possible, even for those who had fallen furthest from Imperial grace, but it also carried responsibilities that extended far beyond personal advancement to encompass the welfare of everyone under my authority and the security of human civilization itself. The administrative duties required constant balancing of competing priorities and institutional demands, while maintaining the personal relationships and philosophical principles that had enabled my own transformation and that continued to guide my approach to leadership. Success required understanding that authority came with obligations to use power responsibly for the benefit of others, rather than personal advantage. The evening ritual of reviewing facility operations from my command center provided perspective on the scope of transformation that had occurred since my arrival as condemned prisoner. The same surveillance systems that had once monitored my every action now served my oversight of operations that affected thousands of individuals while contributing to Imperial security throughout the Eastern Fringe. The technological systems that surrounded me in the command center represented the culmination of years of development and refinement, creating capabilities that exceeded anything available when I first arrived at the facility. The integration between human oversight and artificial intelligence support had achieved the kind of technological transcendence that enhanced rather than replaced human decision-making authority. Facility operations report optimal status across all departments, announced the central processing system through speakers that carried both artificial precision and programmed deference to human authority, demonstrating successful integration between technological capability and human oversight. All prisoners accounted for, all security systems operational, all research projects proceeding according to approved parameters. The daily status reports confirmed that the systems we had developed continued to function effectively under my leadership while maintaining the security and productivity standards that made our facility essential to Imperial operations throughout the sector. The success validated my approach to administration while providing foundation for continued development and expansion. Standing at the observation deck of my command center, looking out across the facility that had become my domain through transformation rather than conquest, I understood that my escape from imprisonment had been achieved through accepting responsibility for ensuring that others could achieve their own redemption. The authority I now wielded represented not personal triumph, but obligation to use power in service of justice and human improvement. The crown of the Warden had been forged from the chains of the prisoner through understanding that true freedom came not from escaping responsibility, but from accepting it completely. My transformation from condemned criminal to Imperial leader proved that redemption remained possible for those willing to serve causes greater than their own immediate interests, demonstrating that even the most hopeless situations could become opportunities for growth and positive change. The machine of authority had recognized my value and granted me position within its highest ranks. But the real achievement lay in using that position to create conditions that enabled others to achieve their own transformation and redemption. The Forge of Souls continued its work under my guidance, proving that justice and mercy could coexist when administered with wisdom born of personal experience and dedication to higher purposes. Chapter 7. The Empire of Redemption. 5 standard years had passed since my elevation to full Warden authority, and the Forge of Absolution had evolved into something unprecedented in Imperial history, a self-sustaining ecosystem of rehabilitation and technological advancement that challenged fundamental assumptions about justice, punishment, and human potential. The facility now operated multiple research stations throughout the Eastern Fringe, while maintaining security protocols that exceeded anything in the Imperial penal system. The expansion had begun with the establishment of subsidiary facilities on 3 additional asteroids within the Perdition system, each one specialized for different categories of prisoners and research objectives. The original Forge of Absolution remained the maximum security hub for the most dangerous criminals, while newer installations focused on rehabilitation programs for individuals whose crimes suggested potential for redemption rather than permanent containment. Research Station Purgatory housed former tech priests and engineers whose expertise in forbidden technologies made them valuable for defensive research, while their relative stability made them suitable for expanded privileges and responsibilities. The facility operated according to principles that emphasized productive work and skill development while maintaining security appropriate for individuals whose knowledge required careful oversight. Rehabilitation, complex absolution, served as minimum security facility for prisoners whose crimes had resulted from desperation or misguided loyalty rather than fundamental corruption or malice. The complex offered education programs and vocational training that prepared individuals for eventual reintegration into Imperial society while contributing to facility operations through meaningful labor. The crown jewel of our expanding network was Research Institute Redemption, where former prisoners who had demonstrated exceptional competence and reliability worked alongside Imperial scientists to develop technologies that enhanced Imperial defensive capabilities against emerging threats. The Institute represented proof that criminal conviction need not preclude valuable contribution to human civilization. The rehabilitation network has achieved remarkable success in transforming dangerous criminals into productive Imperial citizens, reported Senior Administrator Vex Quintus during our annual evaluation session with oversight authorities from Terra itself, her presentation supported by comprehensive statistical analysis of prisoner outcomes and facility productivity. Recidivism rates have dropped to less than 3%, while technological contributions have enhanced Imperial security throughout multiple sectors. The statistical achievements reflected successful implementation of administration philosophy based on recognition that most criminal behavior resulted from circumstances and choices that could be addressed through appropriate intervention and opportunity provision. The approach had proven that redemption was possible for individuals who had been written off by conventional imperial justice as irredeemably corrupted. The technological breakthroughs achieved through our research programs had attracted attention from the highest levels of imperial authority, including direct consultation with the Fabricator General of Mars and senior inquisitors, whose responsibilities included protecting human civilization against existential threats. Our work on techno-demon countermeasures had become essential for imperial security planning. The quantum isolation protocols developed at your facilities have been implemented throughout imperial communication networks with remarkable effectiveness, informed Magos Dominus Vex Septimus during his inspection of our advanced research operations, his augmetic voice carrying genuine respect for achievements that had exceeded the capabilities of conventional imperial research institutions. Your methodologies represent revolutionary advancement in defensive technology development. The recognition from such high-ranking Mechanicus authority validated our approach while creating opportunities for expanding collaboration with other imperial institutions whose missions aligned with our own objectives. The success had transformed our network from punishment facilities into strategic assets whose continued operation was essential for maintaining imperial technological superiority. The prisoner population under our authority had grown to include individuals whose expertise and knowledge made them among the most valuable human resources in the Eastern Fringe, creating management opportunities that required constant innovation in motivation techniques and security protocols. The diversity of skills and experience represented unprecedented concentration of human potential that could be channeled constructively or destructively depending on administrative competence. The most significant development in our operations came when we received authorization to establish training programs for Imperial personnel who would staff similar facilities throughout the galaxy, spreading our methodologies and principles to enhance justice administration across human space. The program attracted participants from multiple Imperial institutions whose missions included prisoner management and rehabilitation. Your training methodologies have achieved remarkable success in preparing administrators for effective prison management throughout the sector, reported training coordinator Vex Sextus during evaluation of our educational programs, his analysis based on performance monitoring of graduates who had implemented our principles in their own facilities. Graduate facilities show improved outcomes across all metrics, including security, productivity, and rehabilitation success. The educational success confirmed that our approach to prisoner management could be transferred to other contexts and administrators, demonstrating that effective rehabilitation resulted from systematic application of proven principles rather than unique circumstances or exceptional personnel. The replication validated our methodology while expanding its impact throughout Imperial space. The research collaborations that had developed between our facilities and various Imperial institutions had created informal networks that enhanced information sharing and joint development projects across multiple sectors. The partnerships demonstrated that criminal conviction need not preclude valuable contribution to Imperial objectives when expertise was channeled appropriately and monitored effectively. The breakthrough project that established our reputation throughout the galaxy came when our research teams successfully developed countermeasures against the Tyrannid bioship infiltration techniques that had been devastating Imperial fleets throughout the Eastern Fringe. The defensive systems combined insights from former heretics and Xenos sympathizers with conventional Imperial technology to create capabilities that exceeded anything previously available. The bioship countermeasures represent unprecedented achievement in anti-Xenos defensive technology, informed Admiral Vex Primus during his official commendation ceremony. His presence representing formal recognition from the Imperial Navy that our research had made crucial contributions to humanity's survival against existential threats. These systems have already prevented the loss of multiple fleet assets and will be implemented throughout Imperial naval forces. The military recognition established our network as essential infrastructure for Imperial defense planning, while validating our approach to channeling criminal expertise toward constructive objectives. The achievement proved that individuals convicted of serious crimes could contribute to humanity's survival when provided with appropriate opportunities and oversight. The philosophical implications of our success challenged conventional understanding of justice and punishment within Imperial doctrine, creating theological discussions about redemption and human potential that attracted attention from the highest levels of religious authority. The Adeptus Ministorum conducted formal evaluations of our rehabilitation programs to determine their compatibility with Imperial spiritual doctrine. Your achievements demonstrate that redemption remains possible even for those who have fallen furthest from the Emperor's grace, declared Cardinal Vex Maximus during his official inspection of our facilities, his pronouncement carrying the authority of the ecclesiarchy itself and establishing theological legitimacy for our rehabilitation principles. Such transformation serves as proof that the Emperor's mercy extends to all who prove worthy through service and sacrifice. The religious endorsement provided crucial legitimacy for expanding our programs throughout Imperial space, while establishing precedents for addressing criminal behavior through rehabilitation rather than simple punishment. The theological validation confirmed that our approach aligned with fundamental Imperial values regarding human dignity and potential for positive change. The administrative challenges of managing multiple facilities across an entire star system required constant innovation in communication protocols and coordination systems while maintaining security standards that prevented any possibility of coordination between dangerous criminals or compromise of sensitive research. The complexity had pushed my own capabilities to their limits while demanding continuous learning and adaptation. The personal satisfaction that came from witnessing individual transformations among prisoners who had achieved genuine redemption through our programs provided motivation that transcended simple professional achievement or institutional success. Each person who moved from criminal conviction to productive citizenship represented validation of principles that challenged conventional assumptions about human nature and social possibility. The transformation you have achieved here extends beyond simple institutional success to encompass fundamental questions about human potential and social justice, observed Philosopher General Vex Octavius during his comprehensive study of our rehabilitation methodologies, his analysis focusing on the broader implications of our achievements for Imperial civilization. Your work suggests possibilities for human development that could reshape our understanding of crime, punishment, and social organization. The philosophical recognition reflected growing understanding that our achievements had significance beyond immediate practical applications to encompass fundamental questions about the nature of justice and human potential that affected Imperial civilization across the galaxy. The implications extended far beyond prison administration to influence policy development in multiple areas of Imperial governance. Standing in the central command center that coordinated operations across our entire network, surrounded by communication systems that linked me to thousands of individuals whose lives had been transformed through our programs, I understood that my own escape from imprisonment had created opportunities for liberation that extended far beyond personal advancement to encompass systemic change in how human civilization addressed failure and redemption. The empire of redemption that had grown from a single prison facility represented proof that individual transformation could catalyze broader social change when guided by principles that recognized human dignity and potential for growth. The network demonstrated that justice could serve rehabilitation as well as punishment when administered with wisdom and compassion. The authority I now wielded over multiple worlds and thousands of lives carried responsibilities that extended far beyond institutional management to encompass stewardship of human potential and advancement of civilization itself. The crown of the Warden had become the foundation of an empire dedicated to proving that redemption remained possible for all who proved worthy through service and sacrifice. My escape from the chains of imprisonment had been achieved through accepting responsibility for ensuring that others could find their own paths to freedom and redemption, proving that true liberation came not from fleeing consequences, but from transforming them into opportunities for growth and positive change that benefited all of human civilization.